Alright guys, update video on O2 Mercury Marquis. Yes, I know I got a flat tire. Thing never stays up. I gotta switch it out. But we got seat bar in, got the battery in, bolted in, tanks in. We did throw a little bit of paint on it. I didn't like it. Got bored one day, but gotta put the back bumper on yet. We got the glass out. I gotta finish getting around the door, or the window, I mean. And this side here, that door, just so you know, a Lincoln door will fit, but you got to cut the back of it off. I didn't have another door because this didn't come with doors. I had to get it from the junkyard. But I'm also going to put this on. Put a Mustang steering wheel. I like that style steering wheel just because it's thicker. It doesn't bend. Them little ones bend when you hit, and I just really like that wheel. It's just comfortable and easy to turn. But I'm getting pretty far on this thing here. I'm down to about 2 months till Derby, somewhere in there. But well, actually a little less than 2 months now. I got everything wired up on the motor wise. I put the trans cooler in. I do my trans coolers. I never use self tappers. I always put bolts in, tighten it down. Because if you don't, and then put a little fan on it to make sure in the back, look down there's a hole. You want to put it right over that hole, or otherwise it's not going to suck much air unless you space it out. But you don't really want to bring it out here too much, because then you're going to be close to the header and it's going to heat this up even more. You want this back and blowing air through to cool it. And I got all my hoses tied up. You know, I leave a little extra just in case something happens. You can cut a little off. You have extra. And I gotta get the carburetor tuned yet. I mean, it runs good, but it needs tuned, and I need to put a set of plugs in this yet. And still go over a couple things, but I mean, other than that, it's pretty good. I'll show you my shifter, my tank set up. And this is how I do my fuel line, which I gotta replace that piece there. But I put metal line the whole way up to there, and then I ran a little piece of metal up there with rubber. I don't really like doing that, but you gotta do what you gotta do. And it goes right there into the tank. Now I know that's self-tapped to the floor. I'm gonna take them out and put bolts in just because that rips out. Then I don't want the fuel pump taking me out, you know what I mean? That would go in there, take a couple hits, doing good, and then all of a sudden your fuel pump goes flying, or you know, it rips the cords out, and then what do, you know? But now on this here, I run a push-pull shifter. As you can see, it's kind of dark down there, but I made a bracket, used the original bracket off of this, put a hole in it, and it comes up to the T-handle push-pull shifter. Very simple to use. That's what I used in the Caprice too. I mean, there's drive, and you can go back through the gears. Very simple. There's park. I gotta get brakes on this thing yet. I just have the master cylinder bolted on. See, I gotta try and get a different fitting for there. The fitting is, I don't know why this one sticks out so far. Like, this one's fine because I can just bend it down. But this is the one I'm gonna cap off and try and get a different fitting for back here. But I got the power steering hooked up. This is very simple, guys. All I do is use a compression union. Make sure when you get this is a GM pump. So when you set it down in, make sure where the line comes, see it twist down here, goes in a little loop, comes up, cut it off there, put a compression union on it, and this is the stock Ford line. It comes off the box. So is the non-pressured line. All I did was put a little piece of hose in there with 2 clamps. Because your non-pressured line, well, it's your return line, I should say, it don't have much pressure. Yes, it has a little bit of pressure in it, but it's not like the pressure line that has however many PSI on it. It's going to blow it when, you know, you're turning the wheel and it's pushing pressure through everything. But bumper's on, like I said. It's not bolted in yet. That's why it's sitting kind of crooked if you look at the back farther on that side. And this is not staying green, by the way. We were painting tranny pan on it for this car, and didn't realize I painted half the front end with it. But yeah, another thing too, you guys do seat bars. See how I put a plate on there? You can run them without. I know people that do. They'll just like cut a hole in like the back door and then put it through that and weld it, and it's fine. But with that plate in there, you can see on the other side there's a big plate that comes back. But that plate, see the gap in between the door? That door's only going to push into that plate and it ain't going nowhere else. The post ain't going to move. So if you guys do that, make sure you put a plate on. Look, even my front ones have a little plate. I mean, it's not nothing major, but they have a little plate. And it really helps, because if you don't do that, and you just have, you know, a round hole, well, that's wherever that end of that tube meets is all it's going to hold back. So if you have it through the door, your posts are still going to come in. Now, if you have a flat plate and you put that post on top of that and weld it to it, it's going to push wherever that's welded, and it's going to stop. It's not going to go past that, because you have more room. You know, as if you have a circle compared to a big square. Now it's, you know, you got 3 inches of tube, and then you put a plate on it, you might have 10 inches of space covered. You know, it's just helps out too. And like I told you guys before, another thing too on these here are downfall. They're very tough cars, but watch your wheels. These like to break. I broke one here before, broke one, and they could split right in the middle. So if you guys are going to run derby, I recommend you at least get one of them. Junkyard sells them cheap. I wouldn't get them new. I work in a junkyard, so I got like 2 of these the actual A-arms, and then I got, I think, 2 or 3 of these. That way we have extras. You never know, you break one, it's very simple. I mean, if it busts here, take that out, and then you got the bolt that goes through here. And it's not a bad idea to actually break these free and take the bolt out before you put them back in, and maybe put grease back in them. That way, if you need to change them at the derby, because sometimes they are a pain to get off, trust me. My dad broke one, we brought it home the next day. We didn't have one last year, I think it was last year. No, excuse me, year before. And them bolts were a pain. I had impact gun, 1/2-inch impact gun and everything with like 700 foot-pounds of torque. We ended up breaking the bolt off, having to cut it and put a new bolt in just to get that was this one here. These ones come right off. I mean, I've never had any trouble with these. They come right off because they're built in a control arm. I mean, yeah, you can also take it back here too if you had a whole arm, but I've never seen one of these arms break. I mean, not saying they won't, but I personally have never seen them break. But we got a couple things, you know, we're trying to give you guys some tips, you know. A lot of you first-time drivers too, you watch these videos, pay attention. It's the small stuff that'll take you out, you know. Wiring, another one. You do wiring, make sure you do it right. I used to just scab wires together. I go find a piece of wire, and if you can run one solid wire, run one solid wire. Don't piece together. I know they have like these, you can crimp these 2 together on like a regular line. Yeah, that works, but you know, if you have to, you have to. It's understandable, but just make sure you do a good connection. Like these here, when you stick the copper through and it comes out the top, I usually stick it out to about here. And then what I do is I crimp it. I crimp it up high there and then down low and then fold it over. That way it gives a good connection. But alright guys, I'll see you later.